You're acting like it, Dad.
You're already trying to ruin this, aren't you?
What you talking about? Dad? Hi.
Anyways, hi guys. How you doing? So, I am here with Dory.
Hello.
Okay.
Dory.
And so today we decided to talk about the last broadcast. Now, I don't know if it's gonna focus on this or not. No. Okay, it's all right.
Might not.
Okay. Anyways, so the last broadcast is actually the very first. It is said to be the very first found footage movie. This is actually not true though. It did come out before the Blair Witch Project, but the very first movie to incorporate found footage was actually Cannibal Holocaust, which I am not watching. I've seen that movie enough times. We're not reviewing that movie, so don't request it. But this is the very first mockumentary movie. For those that don't know, a mockumentary movie is basically a fake documentary. It's hard to explain, but basically found footage movies like The Blair Witch or As Above, So Below, Grave Encounters as well. Like basically they're
faux documentary.
Basically, yeah. Probably the perfect example of a mockumentary would be the Netflix series American Vandal, which I know you are a really big fan of. I love that one too.
Good show.
Yeah, no, I would heavily recommend watching American Vandal if you have not already. But anyway, so the last broadcast, it came out in, I believe, 1997, 1998, around there, and is essentially a documentary around it's around this fake court case where these filmmakers went to go do something on like the Jersey Devil, and all but one of them were killed. That one was convicted, and this guy David, I believe his name was, decides to make a documentary about all the imperfections that happened, and basically reveal the truth and whatnot. Essentially, it's basically the government was wrong and kind of just threw this case out kind of story.
Yeah.
When in reality, it was a completely different thing that happened. I've talked a lot. Is there anything you want to add? Okay. All right.
You're explaining it, so it's your.
I know.
Good explanation.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Good job.
I'm sorry, but anyways, do you maybe? How about let's start with some positives about it. What were some things you liked about it?
I mean, in general, I thought it was pretty good. I'm not a highly critical person when it comes to movies in general. It's easy to get me to like a movie.
Yeah, you liked Suicide Squad, I know.
That was also years ago. I haven't seen it in a while, but yes.
I have to mention that just because
he's also very, very highly critical, so... Yeah.
Well, I have to mention Suicide
we're the
Squad.
opposite when it comes to movies.
I have to mention Suicide Squad because that's the... Because, Ryan and I, when we reviewed Joker, we mentioned that one. So I had to throw that little jab. But anyways, continue.
I noticed that this isn't neither good nor bad. This is just a general thing. I noticed that some musical choices, I know this was way before this movie, but it reminded me kind of Sinister. The music choices were rather,
interesting.
Ominous and...
bizarre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very atmospheric sort of music choices.
Yeah.
They were good though. They were good.
Yeah. There's a lot of really, really good elements in this movie.
Yeah.
I know I point it out all the time, but there are a lot of transition shots. that were very well done. There was they were showing like a mapped out thing where like, you know, it was like a triangle. Like you said, oh, here's the camp, here's this, and then like here's where this happened.
Yeah.
And then it transitioned into like a wide shot of like the road. Like I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, they had some good transitions.
There was a fade where like the picture was all dark and it showed the possible like blurry face and like their arm, and that was all you saw, and then like it switched to a shot of like the road that was like right in between there. So this was definitely made by people that knew what they were doing. I don't remember the names of the two directors, but they played their name. It's funny because their names I think were like Steven and Logan, I believe. I could be wrong, but they basically, I looked at I went on IMDb and looked at the cast, and all they did for like the character names was they took their actual names and just switched them up a little bit, which is, it's a little lazy.
Was one of them the same character name and the other one was different?
I don't. It's hard to say.
Should I just look it up real quick?
I have the IMDb pulled up here, but okay. So if it'll load. So the two directors were Steven Avalos or something, and his name in the movie was Steven Outcast. It wasn't Avcast, sorry. And the other director was Lance Wheeler, who played Locust Wheeler. They were basically the two main characters that were, I guess, the victims of the whole thing. But yeah, so essentially these guys were, I looked into it. These guys, I believe, were like indie filmmakers from like New Jersey that kind of just were like, hey, let's make like a fake documentary. And unfortunately, not many people know about this movie. And that's kind of a shame because this is actually it's a very underappreciated movie. That being said, there is one problem with the movie that does kind of hold it back. We'll get into that in a bit. But like I said, this was supposed to be the very first like the very first mockumentary movie. It, I guess, premiered digitally, like via satellite to like US like cinemas at the time, which is very, like, I've never heard of that before. Which, so that's pretty unique. It is dubbed the first desktop feature film, where I guess it was the first film to be filmed, edited, and screened entirely digitally.
Okay.
Which is, I guess, relating to like that fact from before. So it only had a budget of $900. Which is, like, for a movie filmed with just $900, this is impressive.
Yeah.
That being said, there was only one problem with this movie. And that problem happens to be
the ending.
Yes. The ending really just ruins this entire movie. So there's a moment in the movie that the last few times that Dory and I watched it, we just stopped the movie right there and then just took the thing out and just turned it off, because I believe that's where the movie should have ended. I guess we can technically spoil it, but I don't really want
Spoiler
to.
alert.
Shush.
Right?
No. Shush. No. I actually don't want to spoil it because I would heavily recommend watching this.
Never mind.
Yeah. But yeah, no. So it's one of those, I'm trying to remember. So there's a point where the David, the filmmaker character, he's looking into the camera. He's like, this site is the approximate like destination of where all this happened. Then he ends with, what is the Jersey Devil? That's where the movie should have just ended. But instead, like, at that point, it would have like ended on a very open-ended and like ambiguous, like, what do you think kind of deal, which I think that would have made the movie a bit more impactful. I think it would have, and maybe would have had a better impression, possibly. But unfortunately, the movie goes on, and it does give like a plot twist ending to it that, if you really think about it, doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there are hints throughout the movie here and there of like that of that ending. Like there are certain camera shots that that kind of hint at it. There like some of the dialogue that's mentioned is a little bit hinted at, but
for the most part, it's not really
really anything that would have been like, oh, wait a minute.
It's kind of like a why would it really be? How? Why? Why would that be?
Yeah.
The ending?
Like why? Yeah, I mean, why? So, because like when it gives you the answer of what really happened, you're just like, well, okay, but it basically, it answers some questions, but in doing so, gives you so many others.
And it makes me wonder, like, why would this be filmed in the first place if that really was the ending?
Yeah. It really, again, that's kind of why, if you guys, I'll actually put the link to the movie in the description, because yes, you can actually watch this movie for free. But when you do it, I would say watch it, because when we first watched the movie all the way through, yeah, we were left, because, after the ending, you're kind of left with like that bitter taste of like just how that ending just ruins everything. You're just like, well, you were doing so well. Mm-hmm. And then just, ugh. Mm-hmm. But then like, yeah, I would say, maybe watch it. See, I'm struggling to say, like, should they watch it and then stop right at that moment and then maybe watch it all the way through?
I was gonna say, if I wish we kind of saved the time in which we did stop it.
It's I'm trying to think. I can look it up quickly, but basically it's just it's the part where he's in the middle of, like, after he's it points out that, oh, the picture in the tape that will reveal like the still shot of what the killer who actually did all this was. It says, oh, it'll be fully rendered in a couple months or something. That's that part's fine. Mm-hmm. If anything, you could actually make a pretty good. That would have, if anything, left it open for a sequel.
Yeah.
And that would have been cool. I wouldn't have been against that. This is like, because mockumentaries, I've always ever since I forget what movie it was, but ever since watching this one, I think it was Grave Encounters, actually.
Good movie.
But yeah, so mockumentaries I've always been interested in. I've made a couple. My SCP video is technically a mockumentary. If you want to be technical, The Nippening is a mockumentary. Not that I'd recommend that one as being the best documentary out there, but all right. So, not to mention, the movie is very short, if I might add. It's roughly like an hour and 16 minutes. As soon as it gets to like an hour and 15 minutes-ish, like, it'll show the, I don't do anyone justice.
No, you don't.
I wish I could show you guys this right. I don't know if you can see this, but for some reason, whenever I pause, like, whenever I take pictures or when I pause, like, a video, whoever's in it just makes the worst face ever. I've done it to myself sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's roughly an hour and 16 minutes, where I would recommend just stopping the movie. Because
once it says, what is...
I believe he says, he just looks he looks around, and then he looks into the camera, and he's just like, what is the Jersey Devil?
And it shows that on the screen. It says that on the screen.
And then it like goes to black, I believe, after that.
And that's where we like stop.
Yeah. And that's where, that's pretty much whenever I watch it now. Granted, I've seen the movie enough times, but not saying I'd never watch this again, but whenever I watch it, I stop it right there, and then I basically skip it all the way to the end, just so I don't even need to deal with all that. But other than that, there's really no other issue. I mean, there are some moments where the acting is pretty bad. There are moments where these characters will have like these really big parts where they're talking and they're stuttering, and like you can tell that they're not really trying as hard as they could be. But then again, that's another thing that
if they were kind of new to the filming thing in general, that is kind of,
from what I've looked into,
they weren't prepared for their shows.
Yeah, and like from what I've seen, like from what IMDb says, like this was like the first thing that any of these people did, except for maybe like 1 or 2 people. They don't really have much credits to their names on there either, so I can't really sit here and criticize, not to mention, after some of the short films I released, acting isn't exactly the one thing I can sit here and be a snob of, so. Yeah, literally, like, I mean, that's really just a nitpick, too. The ending is really the only thing I have an issue with, which, it's even worse, too, because I can't really fully hate the ending, because it is something that I've done before. It's something that I have done in, like, short films that I've made. The Nippening, most notably. But just because I've done it, though, doesn't mean I still can't. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, apart from that, I do think this movie's really good. On a scale of 1 to 10, I will actually give it a 9, which is the highest I've given I've given a movie on of the reviews we've done so far. What about you?
For me, I'm terrible at giving like number ratings. I'd say
Ryan doesn't like it either.
Yeah, I don't really like giving number ratings. So I'd say it is worth a watch if you are into found footage movies. And or indie movies. It's worth a watch.
Mockumentary movies, stuff like that, yeah.
If you really need to see a movie that has wonderful acting and is very, very well put together, maybe not so much. I'd say it's worth a watch if you really wanted to, but yeah. it's a good movie.
That's fair. Yeah, I guess I'll just wrap it up.
Yay!
Anyways, so thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. If there's anything you want me and someone else to watch, make sure you comment down below. Massive shout out to patrons, which are over here. Not to cover your face, but if you want to become a patron, which means that
I am.
Yes, which means that you'll get.
You should too.
Which means that you will get access to a lot of exclusive content over on my art blog over there, as well as if you have any request of anything that we can watch or anything that you might want us to make a video on, those will be held to a much higher priority. But make sure you stay tuned as well, because I also have a lot more, I have a bunch more videos coming out soon, and we'll see you then.